Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show, member of the Pod Bros Podcast Network. Don't forget to go to podbros.com and find yourself another podcast you want to listen to. And don't forget to check out our sponsors, Trap and Roll Soap Company, Tape Armor, and find all of our old episodes, as well as t-shirts and patches and all the things you need to put on your gi or just wear around at bjjshow.com. I'm Rob, and I interviewed Jay Bell. Now, Jay, I met at the Globetrotters camp in Austria and automatically hit it off. It was funny, he was staying in the room that one of my students was staying in. He's just a badass dude. He's just a really awesome guy to talk with, has a lot of good insight. And, I may sound a little wiped out during this episode, but we did the interview right after the last open mat of the camp, and I got my ass handed to me. So I was pretty wiped out, but I really hope you guys enjoy this episode. Don't forget to go to bjjshow.com and listen to more of our episodes, as well as like and review us on iTunes. Give us a subscribe and, help support us because, we love making shows for you guys. And I'm Rob, and I'll see you guys at the end of the episode.
Cool.
So, hey everybody, it's Rob, Big Jiu-Jitsu. I'm sorry if I sound a little tired. If you guys listened to the previous episode, you probably figured out why I sound so fucking tired. And also, I just got done with an open mat rolling against all black belts, and that was an experience. So today I've got Jay Bell, black belt, third degree black belt?
Second
degree black belt. I apologize.
No worries, man.
Yeah, it might as well be third in my book. but that's why I'm not the expert, right?
Someday if I don't die first. Yeah.
So I appreciate you taking some time out of the camp to
no problem,
jump
brother.
on here and chat with me about whatever comes up, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we get started, just so my listeners know or get to know you a little bit better, could you just give us a brief overview of...
Yeah, sure, man. So again, my name's Jay Bell. I'm the owner of Gracie Farmington Valley, which is obviously a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school located in lovely Canton, Connecticut, which is part of the Farmington Valley. And since we teach Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and we're in the Farmington Valley, we're super creative. I followed the creativity direction of one of my coaches, Rob Kahn, who has a school in Tampa. And guess what? It's called Gracie Tampa. And if you live in the Florida area and you don't go there, you're a dumbass. I've been doing jiu-jitsu since about 2000. I started under Hoist. So with Hoist up through brown belt, then our local association blew the fuck up. Not because of Hoist, but because of the guy running it. And left. I actually got my black belt from Marco de Lima. I was with him for a year. And then the guy who ran the school fired him, which sucked. And then I ended up running that program for a while. And then brought Rob Kahn back. I hooked back up with my original association. And then linked up with Marcio Stembowski, who's a living legend. So part of his association in Connecticut, along with a bunch of my buddies that I started with and came up with in jiu-jitsu. So all part of the original Hoist association now. A lot of us are with Marcio, and I try and get together with Rob and his crew of absolute murderous killers. And whenever I can, have a bunch of those guys up.
Nice. So how did you get started, just the whole jiu-jitsu thing?
Yeah, so I've always been doing some sort of martial art, fighting in some form, shape, or another. I did Kempo, which is super badass. I'm sorry. But I did that when I was a kid. That didn't exactly scratch the itch I was looking for, but it was fun. Hated katas, liked punching shit. Did that for a while. I wrestled in high school. I was in the Marine Corps. Dabbled a little bit with judo, dabbled a little bit with taekwondo, hapkido, but nothing ever really seemed to click. I had shoulder surgery in late 99, early 2000. I was about 6 months after shoulder surgery. One of my buddies who had virtually no martial arts experience but lots of wrestling experience signed up for a local MMA show, amateur MMA show, back when they were still doing open hands, kind of pancrase style.
Yeah.
And so I went to watch and support him, thought he was going to get murdered. Every single fight that I saw, except his, the jiu-jitsu guy won. And he actually ended up knocking a jiu-jitsu guy out with a bare hand, freaking palm strike to the face, knocked the filling out of his mouth. And I was like, damn. Two things crossed my mind. One, jiu-jitsu is pretty fucking awesome. Two, I don't want my best friend to be able to whoop my ass. So I started looking for a school.
Right.
Couldn't find anything at first. Internet really wasn't what it is today. And finally was like, all right, well, I guess I'll do judo again. Judo's pretty close, probably the closest I could find. And called this one judo school, pretty legit judo school actually. Told him what I was looking for, and he's like, "Hey man, I think there's a Royce Gracie Association in West Hartford, Connecticut. I was like, what? It's only like 20 minutes away from me. So I went and on a search, found it, walked in, started training, never looked back. I think I've maybe taken a week off at a time. You know, I think I took 2 weeks off when I had hip surgery. And other than that, I've been on the mat, you know, pretty much ever since. And you know, people say this shit like it saved their life. I'm kind of an asshole, and I'd be a much, much bigger asshole if I didn't train. So it's been a huge benefit to my life.
Now, since you've been instructing, I know we had this, like a little conversation about this on the mats, like not podcast really from the last episode, but your wife eventually started training as well. And I know that's kind of like, you know, it's a big deal for some people. How'd that end up happening?
So my wife hated jiu-jitsu. When I say hated, I mean she fucking despised jiu-jitsu, everything about it. Because I started like pretty much right when we got married, or right when we got, you know, shortly after we got engaged. And it took me away from her, and she did not like that. She despised it. Plus the fact that I'd come home sweaty, like scratches, beaten up, whatever. And then I'd want to go hang out with my jiu-jitsu buddies. There was nothing about it she liked. She started to come around it a little bit once I started making money with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
She still didn't like it, but she's like, oh, well, you're contributing, you know, some additional cash. You know, you're not taking, you know, family household income to go spend on bullshit, so it's not that bad. And then when I opened my own school, I think about late 2010, early 2011, and then she was kind of on board. She's like, you know, if you're going to do this, you know, you're going to do it right. And she started supporting me and really kind of getting behind me. And after we were running the school for a while, you know, I said, you know, I really want to start a women's program. I think it's important that we offer that, you know, to our neighborhood and to the people in our, you know, who live in our area. And I said, I know you're not really that interested, but it's going to look a little weird if I'm trying to start a women's program and my own wife won't even try.
Yeah.
I'm like, do me a favor, give me 6 months. All right, it's only one class a week. After 6 months, if you hate it, I'll never ask you to do it again. And she's like, all right, fine. One of my buddy's wives had already been training for a while, was a pretty high-ranked blue belt, and I asked her to run the class so the ladies would feel a little bit more comfortable rather than having some, you know, big, fat, slobbery guy who's sweating all over them. Yep. And they started doing that. I'd say for the first 6 to 8 months, all they really did was drill because everybody was still a little tentative. And, you know, they kind of liked it. It was more social time. I think the instructor, Lisa Wood, was getting a little frustrated because the girls were all just kind of giggling and, you know, they weren't really paying that much attention. Yeah. And the ladies that were doing it, they liked it, but, you know, they weren't really falling in love with jiu-jitsu. And then once they started to turn it up a notch, and, you know, I had a conversation with Lisa to say, you know, hey, what do we need to do to get these ladies really rolling? And once a couple of them started rolling, then they started to fall in love with the art. And, you know, now, you know, my wife and a couple of the other girls, they go at it. You know, they'll try and kill each other, and they're hugging each other and saying all sorts of ridiculous shit to each other when they're training, and they really enjoy it. And it's gotten to a point now where my wife, she trains almost as much as I do.
Nice. And it was just a little bit of a push because, you know, like, at least from my perspective, you know, with my wife, she absolutely fucking hates jiu-jitsu as well. I mean, she understands it.
Pretty common.
It is, because she even called it my mistress at one point, which, you know, it was a good laugh, but she did say, well, it's not like you have any other time to do any other, like, bad shit anyways. But so was it up to that point where you're like, hey, would you, like, it's going to look bad, or were there still, like, were you trying to give some hints maybe, or like, hey, why don't you come and do a class with me?
I wanted her to train, for sure. I'd always wanted her to train, but she had zero interest. And the only way I could get her to do it was, you know, she was trying to support me with the school and she felt obligated. Yeah. There was no desire. None. Absolutely none. And, you know, once she tried it, and she's like, oh, well, it's not as bad as I thought. It's weird, but it's not as bad as I thought. Right. But once she started rolling, and then she started having a little bit of success, then it was huge. And then she's like, okay. You know, I wouldn't say she loves it as much as I do, but she enjoys it, and she's very close friends with some of the people that are in that class. And that's really, in my mind, you know, as much as I love the art, and obviously I've been doing it forever, I absolutely love the art, but the best thing about jiu-jitsu is the people. And so if you have a spouse that you want to get involved in jiu-jitsu, the easiest way is if she has a friend that trains, or she becomes friends with someone that trains. So there's someone that she trusts and that she can be comfortable with. And sometimes that's, you know, her boyfriend or her fiance or her husband or her girlfriend or her wife or her buddy. Right? But it's really that, you know, it's uncomfortable for everybody when they start. And I think in most cases it's even more uncomfortable for the ladies.
Yeah. It's just, like you said, big, sweaty, nasty dudes.
Yeah, of course.
Weighing on you. I know that she runs away when I come home, and I'm like, it's hug time.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah, but so something I always like found interesting, because I originally started jiu-jitsu back in like 2004. Mm-hmm. So, and then my dumbass decided Taekwondo, you know, paid me. So Taekwondo is more fun than paying to do jiu-jitsu. And, Yeah, I regret, but I know in that time it was like near the end of the Wild West days of jiu-jitsu. So, and that's why I will also laugh telling you about like, when you were fucking smashing me, it was like having terrible flashbacks of my old coaches just like, this is how we pass guard, and you just fucking shoulder the shit out of their face and stack them, and hell, you even squeezed a fart out of me when you were demonstrating that one yesterday. But what evolution have you seen as far as the training environment goes from when you first started, talking about getting banged up, all fucked up, coming home to now?
So when I started, it was kind of a tale of two different approaches in some ways. So, everybody I think who was there initially was there to learn how to fight. But with that said, the coach we had at the time, the guy who was running the school, like he was really strong on trying to push perfect technique, and that if you did anything like cranky or whatever, that we thought that wasn't good jiu-jitsu. I don't think that way anymore. Rodrigo Gracie told me once, if you tap, it's jiu-jitsu. So I probably fall somewhere in between. Like when I roll with people, like I teach a lot of dirty shit and a lot of kind of mean stuff. Rob Collins, my coaches, he can be brutal, and rolling with him is a exercise in pain. But myself, I'm much nicer than Rob, and I hope he's listening. I don't want to beat the shit out of anybody unless you're my good friend and I know you well, all right? And then I know it's not something you're not gonna get all butthurt about it. But nowadays, there's so much more access to technique. You see more people, you see constant evolution. You see guys like Gordon Ryan, who's top of the food chain in like 5 years, beating world champion black belts have been training for 15, 20 years. You see guys that they take these camps again, like the Donner Death Squad, or Kyotera and some of his guys, or Atos, or you have all these groups of just killers, and they get together and they become professionals, and they train day in, day out, and the amount of training they do in 1 year is like the equivalent to amount someone like me does in 5 to 10 years. It's insanity. And obviously when you're putting that much time into anything, you're gonna get better, and you put that on top of the level of athleticism and the natural talent level that people are coming into jiu-jitsu with now is different. It's not just a bunch of guys that want to learn how to get better at defending themselves and fighting. You have guys now that are high-level athletes that are being drawn to jiu-jitsu because it's more popular. And when you get some of those high-level athletes in there and you see them start to learn the art, you have white belts that I've seen white belts tap purple belts with ease. I've seen blue belts tap black belts. Like back in the day, that almost never happened. There was a few guys, like Globetrotter was coming up when I was around. He was a blue belt. He was murdering some black belts. There's a few other guys, like Dan Simler in the area. He was always killing people. But it was a very small group of guys. Now, you see people coming on the stage all the time.
Yeah, and it is amazing. Like you said, it's a professional thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hearing all the stories of, like you said, it was just everybody came in for the martial art aspect or, the fighting aspect or whatever. Tournaments are cool. I think really, like I said, maybe I'm dating myself here, but the Karate Kid really gave me that pump to do some tournaments and stuff. And I was like, it'll be just like that. And it turned out to be fucking nothing like it whatsoever.
I hate tournaments.
Really?
I hate them. I don't like them at all. I did a few, right? And I'm probably like 8, something like that, over my career. But man, sitting around all day to do shit, I think it's good for anyone to do it a couple times. And if you like it, great, go for it and do as much as you want. I don't believe in pushing people into competing. Yeah. You have a huge adrenaline dump, and it's going to make you a little bit better for sure, right? Just because you're going to train, you're going to have a goal, you're going to focus. So I think it's valuable to try. But pushing people into doing something that's uncomfortable for them, it's not the point. If you have a competition school and that's your thing, and people go to you because of that, great, that's fantastic. But the majority of schools out there, are probably most of them are run by hobbyists to a certain extent. Hell, I'm a hobbyist if you think about it. I train usually about 4 days a week, sometimes 5. Yeah. But I have a full-time job. I'm married. I got 2 kids. How much time can I put in on the mat? And most of my students, not all, but most of them are the same thing. Most of my guys are 2-3 days a week. I got a few that are killers 5, 6, 7 days a week. And those are the guys we try and give them as much attention as possible. I'm lucky I got a lot of guys in my school that have been with me a long time, so a lot of guys with some different approaches and different styles that can coach, and so I don't have to be there all the time. I could feel comfortable not being there. But jiu-jitsu is different for everybody, and not just the technique. What their people are looking for is different. Some people want to compete, great. Some people just want to get in and burn off some stress. Some people want to get in better shape. Some people are dealing with emotional issues. Some people, the reasons are myriad, and you need to be able to, satisfy all of those different reasons if you want to be successful and run a school.
So just kind of grabbing everybody and making sure it fits them. Because I remember too, like I said, just trying to play off the end of the Wild West days. Like, you show up, get fucking smashed, and like you said, you quit or you stay because you're.
And nobody cared if you came back then.
Yeah.
Nobody gave a shit. Once you've been around for like a year or two, okay, well then people were invested in you. What I normally tell folks, the retention in my school and some of the guys I know, their schools is pretty high. Once you've been around 6 months, most people don't leave unless there's a major life event. Yeah. Either, sometimes if they have a baby, they're gone, right? Or they get married and they're gone. Obviously, if they move, major job change, unfortunately, sometimes a significant injury. Those are really the major reasons we tend to lose people. So we don't lose that many. The first 6 months, though, not to sound like a dick, but the first 6 months, I don't give a shit about you. I don't really know you. I don't even know if you're going to stick around. I'll be nice to you. We'll try and teach you and do whatever we can. But you're not really part of the tribe. Like, you're probationary, right? You're not even patched in yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Get beat in.
Yeah, to an extent. Yeah. Not like it was back in the day. We're not trying to kill people.
Yeah.
But, it's different.
But now it's like a business as opposed to.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was always a business back then, but like you take care. I remember somebody saying something too, and it wasn't even a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. It always kind of struck with me. He's like, look tough, act tough. Nobody really wants to get hurt. It's kind of the whole approach on some martial arts schools. But I feel with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's one of the few arts you actually get to train 100%, actually do real situations, real life situations all the time instead of, point kicking.
It's certainly the safest out of those options. So if you think of the other martial arts where you can train, pretty much full tilt, boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, judo, right? That's pretty much it. I mean, you can make an argument for Kyokushin or something like that, but they don't really punch to the face. But still, you got tough guys there. But, any of those arts, I think the injury rates are higher.
Yeah.
Because you go full tilt, a lot of injuries. And you would think, when you look at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, with the joint twisting and all this other shit and chokes and everything else, that the injury rate would be higher. But from my experience, and doing this a long time, the amount of significant injuries I've seen has been relatively slight. And I've had one Jiu-Jitsu surgery in, 18 years. And it was just one of those freak things. And then most of the surgeries I've seen, usually are knees.
Yeah. And
they're almost never from leg locks. Almost never. So all that bullshit about leg locks, and we do leg locks at white belt on up in my school. You get twisted ankles from that shit, and sore ankles, little popped ankles, big deal.
Yeah.
I don't think I can even remember somebody getting a knee surgery because of a leg lock. They get knee surgery because somebody lands on their knee, they fall back in a weird way, they put their knee in the wrong position, they're doing takedowns, and somebody gets the knee taken out. That's usually where the knee injuries happen.
Yeah.
But rolling, leg locks, unless you're training with assholes, it's usually not the case.
Nice. So this is the third Globetrotters camp you've taught at, right? So how did you become involved with the Globetrotters?
Basically, I owe my involvement with the Globetrotters to two of my close friends and training partners, and they're also black belts under Marcio Stambowski as well. Brad Wolfson and Joey Carta. So Brad's actually Marcio's first American black belt. And Joey also got his black belt from Marco de Lima and then eventually made his way over to Marcio. Joey, I think, went to the very first Globetrotter camp, which was in Copenhagen. Yeah. And Joey was training a fair amount with me back in the day. And he was telling me about it. He had read Christian's book, and he was raving about it. He said, man, I think I'm going to go to this thing. And he came back, and his game improved dramatically just from that one experience. He learned a lot. He took a lot from it. Christian, while he was there, said, hey, why don't you teach this one class? We got to teach a class for his first one. He got hooked up with him. Brad was already, essentially a Globetrotter even before there was a Globetrotter thing. He was already kind of traveling the world, doing different stuff. He was always going to different countries, finding different gyms there and training with them. So it was just a natural thing that he got hooked up with Christian. And I think for the first USA camp, I found out about it a little bit late. It might have been the second. I think it was the first, though. And I contacted Christian, and they put in a good word for me. But it was like 6 weeks before. Yeah. And Christian said, "Hey, I'm full up this go around, but hit me up next year, and we'd love to have you give it a shot." So next year, about 3 or 4 months out, I talked to Joe and Brad again. I think they pinged Christian, and then I contacted him and said, hey, do I love to do it? And what do you think? He's like, yeah, sure, no problem. And then unfortunately, it was the first camp that Christian missed. So the first camp I taught at, Christian wasn't there. Still had a great experience, fantastic time. Met a lot of great people, and then said, hey, I'd love to do it again next year. He said, yeah, of course, no problem. Met him that year, and I had been trying to reach out to him because I was very interested in doing Austria because I like to snowboard a lot.
Yeah.
And he kept telling me, hey, I don't like to book it too far in advance. I think part of it was, he hadn't met me yet. He didn't know like what my whole deal was, and I think he wanted some direct feedback from other campers or to see what I was doing myself. And so at the second Globetrotter camp that I taught at, we were out at the bar, and I was talking with him about it a little bit, and he's like, yeah, you're in. I guess he got some good feedback, or found out I didn't horribly suck, even for being an old fat guy, and hooked that up. And then earlier this year, I'm like, hey, down for the USA camp again. Like, I think I can do 3 this year. He's like, which one do you want to do? I was like, shit, I'll do Belgium. So I did 1 per year for the last 2 years. This year I'm doing 3. So I'm doing obviously here in Austria, which has been fucking amazing. I'm doing the USA camp, which is in Maine, and that's going to be, I think, the end of May, beginning of June. Then I'm doing Belgium in July, and then next year I plan on doing at least 2, possibly 3 again. And who the hell knew that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was going to be a vehicle for me to travel the world? I sure as hell didn't. Yeah. It's been amazing.
Well, yeah, I do. This is my first experience with the camp, and it's, can't say I came in with like any high expectations, low expectations, kind of really no expectations. I knew there was going to be jiu-jitsu. I knew there was going to be people. Mm-hmm. I knew there was going to be drinking, and I knew there was probably going to be some snowboarding. But, for what it is, I understand this is like the smaller camp usually.
Yeah.
So
I think Belgium's the biggest with about 250 plus.
Shit.
I think this is one of the smaller ones. The USA camp is 150, 170, something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure about some of the other ones because I haven't been to those yet.
Yeah.
I think the beach camps, I think, are the smallest.
Oh, really?
I think some of those, and there's that new one, the Castle Camp, which sold out in like 2 days.
It was
which is
20
like 20 people, but
yeah.
just one instructor that's Christian, but you also get like unlimited privates or some shit. It's pretty badass.
That's nuts.
I thought about doing that one just as a freaking, an attendee, but I thought I might have more than 2 days to make a decision. I was incorrect. These things sell out way faster than you'd think.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised because I already signed up for the Iceland camp.
Okay.
So I'm kind of glad I did because that shit sold out pretty quickly too.
Yeah, it did.
But it's I came in here and got a lot of good instruction, especially taking classes from you. It's like I said, it's always good to get that smash style of fucking smashing people, and then the omoplata stuff because
cool, brother.
Lord knows I'm all about my terrible omoplatas and how they all fuck up. But for camp culture, was that something that also kind of made you stick around for it as well? Just like, or was that just being able to teach and go see different parts of the world? So
the people are amazing. Meeting people from all over the world, different countries, even different parts of your own country. When I was doing the USA camps, and even when I did the USA camps, there was people from other countries. It was mostly folks from the U.S., a lot of folks from Canada, and then you had kind of a smattering of people from all over the world. Obviously here it's kind of flipped. You got mostly people from various European countries primarily, but there's still a fair number of Americans. That to me is kind of huge, right? And getting to meet all these different people, expanding your jiu-jitsu network, and that way if you're going to travel somewhere else in the future, you have like people you can go and train with, and they can kind of show you around. You get like an inside view of these different countries, and really kind of the tight quarters, and sometimes almost the Christian said before he doesn't want everything to be too nice. There's got to be some little. Like little irritation or whatever. I think the first USA camp, like the showers were separated from the area we were sleeping, and there was like spider webs freaking everywhere. You had to jump over spiders to take a shower, but whatever, it was cool. This one was a little different. I brought my wife, which she loved part of it and hated other parts of it.
Yeah.
But that was a learning experience. But she loved meeting the different people as well. Like the vibe that Christian has created and the way people roll. I mean, normally if you would get this many people together and have like open mat sessions, it's going to turn into like, fucking kumite and blood sport, right? Even at people's own gyms sometimes it's going to get like that. And now you have all these different black belts, most of them pretty chill, like no egos, just trying to train with as many people as possible, just kind of hanging out. You roll as many people as you can, and everybody wants to learn. Everybody wants to be cool. Like I learned shit from some of the guys I roll with at various belt levels because people have these completely different styles of jiu-jitsu, different approaches, like different body styles, different. It's crazy, man. The shit that you bring back for your own game that I can bring back to my students, and I don't know. I love it. Absolutely love it. I'll keep doing it as long as they'll have me. I think I'm the oldest guy here at this camp, and keep coming back. Fuck it.
Yeah, and I had a hell of a time, and I definitely want to come back as well. Like, maybe not the Austria camp in the middle of nowhere. I'm a little more of a city boy. We talked about being half redneck in a way, but I miss my, when I went up to the front desk, is there a laundromat in this city that I could possibly use for my clothes? She said, nah, that's it, man. So I had to caveman my underwear and slap it against tiles in the shower with some gel, but whatever. But it's an experience. Had dudes I've never met, 2 guys from Israel, a dude from Germany, and then the guy from Europe or UK.
Yeah.
Like people I probably never would have met.
Yeah, I know, man. It's badass.
Cool. Real fucking cool. So, going forward, any other plans aside from BJJ Globetrotter camps? Anything like?
I've talked to Tom DeBlas. He's got a camp in Costa Rica that I have an interest in checking out. He's out of the different guys that I've trained with, outside, my personal coaches. Hugely impressed with the way he teaches and the way he conducts himself. I've been lucky enough to have him out at my school. He's talked a little bit about, he's got some stuff he does in Costa Rica. I'm interested in potentially doing that. It's really just a matter of, figuring out what I can fit in and how I can fit it in and the cost and everything else. And then just, we bring in a lot of guys into my school and try and bring in as many different instructors as we can to have my guys get exposed to it. In fact, I missed one while I was here. We had Frank Mir at my place today.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was supposed to be next weekend, but he had some commitments that popped up in Russia because he's fighting that Bellator Heavyweight Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And so as a result, he couldn't make it, and the only other weekend he had was this weekend. And obviously I'm not going to, deprive my guys the opportunity to train with a beast like that. So, they had that today. I saw the photos. The place was packed. So it was pretty cool.
Nice. Well, that's pretty damn cool. Any advice you'd give somebody for try to close it out with some cool advice from a cool instructor? I know a lot of our guys, I've talked to people, we've had questions sent in by listeners and whatnot about kind of sticking with it, frustrations as far as, hitting a plateau because, with now it's a new year, everybody's going to jump in, like new year, new me, new jiu-jitsu game plan, 7 million tournaments this year, no days off, like what would be maybe some advice for somebody who's hit a plateau, feeling frustrated, even though they're trying to crank it up?
Yeah, I think the first thing people need to understand is why are they doing jiu-jitsu, right? So if you're doing it to get in shape, great. If you're doing it to do tournaments, you want to be the best in the world, great. You got to figure out why you're doing it, right? And then regardless of what your motivation for doing jiu-jitsu is, everyone's going to have those same issues and plateaus, and you need to understand that. And so the easiest way to deal with plateaus is to focus on micro pieces of your game and focus on fundamentals. Right? So rather than trying to be awesome at everything, right, pick one thing and focus solely on that one thing and train. Most people, when they enter into training, they don't train. They show up, they take the class, and they roll. Right? I could tell the people that are different, right, the high-level guys, right, or the people that are going to become high level based upon the way they train. Now, some of it's going to be athleticism, so those guys are going to get good fast. But you're going to see guys that aren't athletic that day one they're going to become awesome because they focus and they train. So they actually have a plan when they go in and they spar. The other way you want to think about what Coach Rob says is that we don't have heavy bags, right? We have white belts, right? It doesn't mean we beat the shit out of our white belts, but if you think about a boxer, how often does a boxer spar versus a boxer hits mitts and hits heavy bags?
Yeah.
They spend way more time focusing on technique than they do sparring. Now, obviously, when we spar, sparring is more important. We're going to spend more time sparring. But when you train, I want to hit, maybe 30 arm bars in one class. And I'm not going to do that when I'm rolling with all my black belts, right?
Right.
I'm not going to do that when I'm rolling with all my brown belts. I'm going to get my 30 arm bars, a couple white belts, maybe a couple blue belts, and then I'm going to go roll with the killers, right, and see what happens. All right? And I'm going to do that for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. I'm going to decide, okay, well, this month I'm only doing guillotines from wherever. Or this month I'm only working triangles. Or this month I'm going to start from bottom with every single person that I roll with. All right? And I'm going to try and escape. I'm going to try and escape within 5 seconds. Or I'm just going to sit there and suffer and take everything right? And not even try and escape and just not let them submit me. So if I have a plan and I'm focused on what I'm trying to do to improve, that allows me to bust through those plateaus. When I just show up and fucking train and just do whatever, and I do that sometimes too, I get in moods where I'm just show up, go through the paces, train, do my thing, but that's not elevating my game. I'll kind of stay in the same place because I'm still training, but that's not how I'm going to progress.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, I think that's something a lot of us lose sight on as well. Like, you show up, roll, try to beat everybody, and you kind of stay the same sometimes. And like, that's something I've gone through myself, where I'm just like, show up, oh, good job, you can fucking straight ankle lock everybody. You're badass white belt, Rob, shit like that. But no, it's something I think is actually really good, and I think I'm going to start putting that in my game myself.
Yeah, it's fun, man. Like, again, if you're here just for stress relief, or you're here just, for the hell of it, lose weight, then fuck it, who cares, right? Just do your thing, right? Do whatever's going to make you happy. But the day you decide you want to get good, and almost everybody, regardless of why they start, is going to get to a point, if they don't quit, where they want to get better. And if you want to get better, then you have to make the effort to get better. And it's not just watching fucking videos, and it's not just, getting 8,000 privates, although both of those will probably help you. It's enter into those sparring sessions with a plan and train. Like any other fucking sport, you have to train. It's not just show up and spar, train to get better.
Nice. So before we finish out,
Right.
I appreciate you coming on here and giving us all
brother.
your wisdom, man. It was a fucking great show. Shout out to anybody you want to give to.
Yeah, man. So obviously, Marcio Stambowski, Rob Kahn, Robbie D'Onofrio, my black belt, Jimmy Campbell. My school would not be anything without Jimmy. He's a leg lock fanatic, beast, fantastic human being. And obviously, Brad Wolfson and Joey Carter for getting me involved with this beautiful thing. And then a couple of the boys, black belts from back in the day, Charlie McShane, we came up together. Josh Hesher, we came up together. And then Greg Wood came up together as well. These are my boys. Hopefully I'm not leaving anybody out, but I love all you guys, and I wouldn't be anywhere without you. So thank you.
Awesome, Jay. Once again, man, thanks for coming on the show, dude.
All right, brother. Oh, and Dustin Rhodes, too, you fucking freak. All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show, a member of the Pod Bros Podcast Network. Don't forget to go to podbros.com and find yourself another podcast you want to listen to. Don't forget to visit our sponsors, Trap and Roll Soap Company and Tape Armor, and find all of our old shows, some T-shirts, patches, maybe stickers, at bjjshow.com. I'm Rob. I'll catch you guys next time.